You know, I've been a musician for over 25 years, and when I first started doing this type of content and speaking out on social issues, I remember saying this is the hill that I'm willing to die on because I knew I was going to rub a whole lot of people the wrong way. I knew I was going to potentially lose gigs over speaking out, but I said it's a hill I'm willing to die on. And what's interesting is watching other people choose the hill in which they want to die on. Donald Trump has now rallied the troops. He has violated his gag order so many times that he's had to rally his troops around him so that they can do it for him. And it's amazing to me how there are people out there who are willing to die on this hill with Donald Trump. But they're here. And we're going to start with Tommy Tuberville, who comes out talking about how we have to have respect for Donald Trump. Take a look at this.
I want to reiterate the same thing. First of all, I'm disappointed in the courtroom. I'm hearing Mr. Trump. He is former President Trump. Give him some respect. I mean, that's what that place is in there. It's no respect. Here's what I'm seeing, too. It is depressing. That courtroom is depressing. This is New York City, the icon of our country, and we got a courtroom that's the most depressing thing I've ever been in.
So he thinks we need to show him respect and call him President Trump. Really? No one has ever been more disrespectful to the office of president than Donald Trump. He can't even say Joe Biden's name without throwing in insults. He can't even say Joe Biden's name without making fun of him, without talking down about him, calling him the worst president in history. No one has ever been more disrespectful to the presidency. Donald Trump had no respect whatsoever for the peaceful transfer of power. He had no respect whatsoever for the elections. He had no respect whatsoever for handling of documents. He went in there like the bully he is, and he steamrolled over every top of everybody, and now they want us to show him respect? Give me a break. But it gets worse. He just keeps going and keeps complaining. Take a look at this one.
A month. He's been here a month. I am disappointed in looking at the Americans, supposedly American citizens in that courtroom, that the DA comes in and he acts like it is his Super Bowl. And I guess it is, to be noticed. But that's what's happening in this country.
So now I guess he's questioning whether or not they're really American citizens in there. Next thing you know, they'll be saying that they're all a bunch of paid actors if they're not saying that already. But along come JD Vance, and man, he fell in line real quick. Take a look at this.
Judge inside, his daughter is making millions of dollars running against Donald Trump, raising money for Donald Trump's political opponents. The number 3 person in the Department of Justice, Biden's Department of Justice, left to become a local prosecutor to go after Donald Trump. And of course, there's Alvin Bragg, a Soros-funded prosecutor who promised to go after Donald Trump and now is doing exactly that. Now, look.
It's really funny watching JD Vance fall in line because he's not always felt this way about Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, he once said that Donald Trump could be America's Hitler. But now he's out there going to bat for him. I want you to take a look at this next clip, though, side by side, what he once said about Trump and what he's now said about Trump.
As somebody who doesn't like Trump myself, the elites were right about Donald Trump, right? I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
He's the best president of my lifetime, and he revealed the corruption in this country like nobody else.
I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place. I think that he was a good president. I think he made a lot of good decisions for people.
I take it you're not a Trump supporter from what I've read. Am I right? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I didn't vote for Trump.
All around, he was a great president. I'm 37 years old. Certainly the best president of my lifetime.
As I was watching that clip, I was reminded of the old wrestler, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, because he used to come out and he would say, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. And he would make people do very demeaning things and pay them to do it. And then he would say, everybody's got a price. And as I watched that, I thought about that because I thought, you know what? I guess if you want to be vice president bad enough, everybody's got a price for Donald Trump. But this would not be a clown show if we didn't include Vivek Ramaswamy. Man, he really came and knocked it out of the park. Take a look at this.
What do we see in there? First of all, I learned a lot from being in there in person. It is one of the most depressing places I have been in my life, but it is fitting because the only thing more depressing than the environment of that courtroom is what's actually happening in there. It's straight out of a Kafka novel. The prosecution's main strategy appears to be to bore the jurors into submission. And if you look in that direction...
Now, I do agree with him that it's very sad and depressing, but for completely different reasons. I think it's sad and depressing that we're in this shape, and I think it's sad and depressing that there's people like Vivek Ramaswamy, Tommy Tuberville, JD Vance, House Speaker Mike Johnson, Doug Burgum, the list goes on, all the people who showed up to defend such a sham politician. But actually, I think Vivek might agree with me on that one too. Take a look.
So may God bless our country. I pray for our future, and let's pray for our country being stronger on the other side of this disgusting sham politician prosecution. Doug, I'm going to close this out.
So you had it right the first time, Vivek. He definitely is a sham politician. But as always, these MAGA politicians, especially the ones going to bat for Donald Trump, you can always count on them to eventually say the quiet part out loud. Remember at the start of the video when I said they're violating his gag order for him? Well, old Tommy Tuberville just goes ahead and admits it.
Hopefully we have more and more senators and congressmen go up every day to represent him and be able to go out and overcome this gag order. And that's one of the reasons we went, is to be able to speak our piece for President Trump.
Well, that's good. You know, if he can't speak on the sham this trial is, they can't put you under a gag order. Not yet, the way things are going.
I love the blank stare on the host's face and then how he kind of ups his eyebrow before he falls in line and says, well, yeah, I guess somebody's got to talk for him. I love how they just always jump through these hoops no matter who they are. No matter what you say, no matter what you get caught saying, they will always go to bat for Donald Trump. That's the hill they're willing to die on. They talk every day about how Joe Biden's the worst president in history and how that we can't go on underneath him. The country's circling the drain. And yet they get behind a guy like Trump. You would think that any reasonable person would say, you know what, maybe we ought to just cut ties with this guy because he has completely dragged our party to hell. Maybe we should go back and listen to what we were saying years ago when we warned ourselves about what he would become. That's the funny part. You can go back and look at JD Vance. You can go back and look at Lindsey Graham. There is so many of you can go back and look at, hear what they had to say. They were saying, this guy will be the end of our party. Well, he sure as hell was. And you're standing there defending him. He's violating his gag order, and instead of calling him out for it, because I thought Republicans were the party of responsibility. I thought they were the party of accountability. You would think, being the party of responsibility and accountability, they would say to Donald Trump, hey, buddy, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and be a man and take responsibility for your actions. But no, the modern era Republican Party just goes down there and goes to bat with him. Why? Because everybody's got a prize for Donald Trump.